like digital currencies and assets moving at the speed of light that are unstoppable, and a digital commodity that can't be debased. And it also has a lot of entrepreneurs that implemented those good ideas in an irresponsible fashion. What it needs is adult supervision. It needs the Goldman Sachs and the Morgan Stanleys and the Blackrocks to come in the industry. It needs clear guidelines from Congress. It needs clear rules of the road from the SEC. The crypto meltdown has punctuated the problem, has educated everybody on it, but also it's underscored the idea that it's time for the world to provide a constructive, transparent framework for digital assets so that we can move the financial system out of the 20th century into the 21st century.
In the summer of 2011, not long after the Republicans took control of the House of Representatives, during the third year of the last Democratic president, almost exactly the same as the setup right now, we had the same debt ceiling showdown. Our government went past the ceiling. Treasury took special measures to stretch out the cash. You've heard about all these things, right? But you know what? It really came down to the wire. And one of the major ratings agencies downgraded the United States credit rating thanks to risk of a totally voluntary default. Voluntary. They went over the line in mid-May, and they had enough money to make it through to early August, but then the negotiations between Congress and the White House went nowhere, just like right now. From the May highs to the August lows, the S&P 500 lost nearly 20% of its value. 20%! Of course, not all of that was the debt ceiling. Europe was having a horrific sovereign debt crisis, but it really was just the inability to make a deal. However, there was a two-week stretch in late July, early August, where the market got eviscerated by the looming risk of the federal government defaulting on its obligations. During that period, in a completely ill-advised move, the S&P plunged more than 17%. To put that in perspective, during the entirety of last year, the S&P fell 19.4%. But everyone was panicking. And it felt terrible. Just imagine if we had a similar decline over the span of a couple of weeks. Of course, the last debt ceiling crisis eventually did get resolved. The Obama administration, the House Republicans, agreed on some spending cuts. The debt limit got raised in early August. Problem solved. And here's the thing. Once the situation stabilized, the stock market bounced back very quickly. In fact, the S&P 500 finished 2011 more or less flat for the year. What a buying opportunity. Despite the Eurozone sovereign debt crisis, the Fukushima nuclear disaster, and the U.S. government nearly defaulting on our obligations, our stock market was barely dinged by the end of the year. Boy, I remember that period. People just told me I was way too bullish after the debt ceiling agreement. I said, no, that was the problem. I think it's a major reason why nobody seems to be freaking out now, though, about the current debt ceiling fiasco. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @JimCramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Kramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.
This is King. It's my birthday.
And it's my son's birthday today. That's the reason my video was out late today. If you want to show him some love, hit that cash out. But let's get into the video. Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we know what Michael Saylor said before the C word about Bitcoin. That Bitcoin had no chance and that banks would destroy it. And then after the comments he said about the C word, he must have got in trouble because all of a sudden he became a spokesperson. And then Morgan Stanley comes in and invests in MicroStrategy, a company that was making barely any profit, and the stock skyrocketed. And what does Michael Saylor call for? The entry of Blackrock, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley. The whole purpose of Bitcoin was to get rid of the banks, because the banks are the biggest what? I'm going to let you finish that. And then he asked for the politicians to come in and regulate. The SEC to come in and regulate, which we know is controlled by the NWO. And then we have Jim Cramer on the debt ceiling, going back in the past, 2011. Guys, remember, Janet Yellen and Gary Gensler are the chess pieces to get us moved over to the fourth industrial revolution. The same way Gary Gensler kicked the can on regulation, Janet Yellen is going to kick the can on this debt ceiling, so therefore she can be the safety blanket for the Fed until we run into that next crisis. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.